Well, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome in coast to coast and beyond for another exciting Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants broadcast. My name is Jesse, and if you're new to us, we are all about bringing conservation, adventure, and science into classrooms around the world. Now, as you may well know, we are continuing our epic signature series, the Cross Canada Virtual Road Trip today, in conjunction with our friends at Parks Canada and Canadian Geographic Education. There is so much to explore and discover in this series. We've got, I think, 16, 17 more broadcasts coming after this one, coast to coast to coast across Canada. It's such a special opportunity to learn about not only some of our most amazing places here in Canada, but some of the most amazing places, cultures, stories, biology around the whole world. So a big thank you to you for joining us. There's like 1 million kids today. Not quite, but there are 1,330 kids from, I think, 8 provinces and territories and like half the U.S. states. So a big welcome into all of you for such a special program. Now, before I dive into today's topic, I want to note there is a Kahoot. So between our talk and our Q&A, if you want to play along with a little 4-question quiz, you can pull up that pin below, and in about 20-25 minutes, we'll have the opportunity to play along with that. So it should be a lot of fun, extra opportunity to keep it interactive. Now, I'm so thrilled today to welcome back one of my all-time favorite educators, Helen Panter's, joining us from Parks Canada at Wood Buffalo National Park, which is one we're going to learn about together. I know Wood Buffalo might not be as well known as, say, Banff or Jasper, but it's a really, really special place. And we're going to learn specifically today about wildfire and adaptations to survive wildfires. We've done a lot of wildfire programs in conjunction with parks, and every time we do them, the big question is, what do the animals do? Well, today we're going to explore a little bit more about that. So if you're as excited as I am, I'm going to turn this over to epic helicopter pilot looking Helen Panter. Hello, Helen, welcome in.
Hello, how are you?
I am fantastic. I am not quite as decked out as you. I forgot my helicopter in my other room before the broadcast, unfortunately, but you look amazing.
Too bad. Excellent. So if you're ready, Jesse, I'm ready as well.
I am ready. If you want to bring up your awesome presentation and dive in with us, we'd love to get underway.
There you go. Let me know when you see it.
We are, let's see, thinking about it, golden.
Here we go. Okay, I start. 612, this is Hotel Echo Lima, Echo November 933. Do you copy? Good morning, 612. I am flying to fire base at Pine Lake to check on fire number 2. I have on board Echo Lima 37 and Foxtrot Zulu 17. We will touch base and tell you when we are at Pine Lake. 612, this is Hotel Echo Lima, Echo November 933, reporting situation or reporting activity of fire 2 on the way to Pine Lake. We could see a lot of activities this morning. We have crown fires, we have a lot of thick smoke, and I think this morning the wind is picking up. So there's a lot of flames. There is a lot going on here at Fire 2. Fire 7 as well as seen a lot of activities this morning. And we can see a lot of crown fires. We will be arriving at Pine Lake. We'll touch base with you in a few minutes. Clear. Maybe you wonder, what just happened here, Helen? What is going on? So give me 2 seconds, and then I will backtrack a few seconds, and then we're going to get on our way with the presentation. This is me in my helicopter this morning for you. So welcome, everybody. My name is Helen Panter, and I'm the outreach officer here for these parks that are in the south of the Northwest Territories. I am super excited to be with you guys today here and to talk about some of the best places that I have the pleasure to work for and to work in. Today, the program will be talking about forest fire, how the wildlife adapt to changes in the environment as well. So, like I said, I work for four national park and four national park reserves. So, on the map, you're gonna see Nahani National Park Reserve. I have the chance to work for that park reserve. I work also for Natsicho National Park Reserve. I work also for Taidenenene National Park Reserve, and I work for the largest national park in Canada, and the one I will be talking to you about today, Wood Buffalo National Park. Like I just said, Wood Buffalo National Park is the largest national park in Canada. So, very fortunate to have the largest national park right in my backyard, where I have the chance to drive for about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and get in the largest national park in Canada. Wood Buffalo National Park was created in 1922 to protect and preserve the last remaining herd of wood bison. So, what does it mean? Is the bison are roaming all over the park. There's no fence, no gate, no boundaries, so they can go wherever they want. Sometimes we drive and we can see bison on the road. They are everywhere. Also, Wood Buffalo National Park is recognized for its UNESCO World Heritage Site. So we have the Peace Athabasca Delta, the biggest inland freshwater delta in North America. Many birds, about 1 million birds, will migrate to the delta on their way to their habitat, their places for the summer, and migrate back in the fall to go back into often states and Texas and Mexico or Mexico. Also, we have the last remaining flock of whooping crane. So we have the nesting ground of the whooping crane here in Wood Buffalo. There's about less than 1,000 birds in the entire world. And since 2013, we got recognized as the largest dark sky preserve in the world. So Wood Buffalo has a lot to offer here in the north. Of course, during every season, we have fires in the park, and this is a natural occurrence that happens. We are used to see fire in the park, and we get kind of excited when fire season starts. Animals have been adapted themselves to have fire around them every time, every year. So today I'm going to bring you into what looked like what we had last summer. So the fire season started in May. So by May 18, we had the first fire crossing inside the boundaries of the park, in the south part of the park. Usually in Wood Buffalo, we have about 20-25 fires in average per year. Some years will be higher, some years will be lower. Like a couple of years back, we had about 3-4 fires. Usually 20-24 fires per year. Total hectares burn the area. Usually it's about 100,000 hectares. Last summer, over 900,000 hectares were burned in Wood Buffalo National Park. Of course, many other fires started in the park. By the time late May happened, we had already 14 fires. So all our crews were deployed here and there to go fight all the fires. Of course, there's some value at risk that are like in Pine Lake, for example. And then those value at risk, we need to protect them. So we send crews close to Pine Lake to look at those value at risk and put sprinklers to protect them. Because fire number 2, the one I was talking about in the little introduction, was getting closer in the south of Pine Lake. And fire management say, well, we have to go protect those value at risk. Also, fire number 7 was detected a little bit north of Pine Lake. And fire 7, remember that one, because it started about at 0.6 hectares And over the summer, and you will know why, this fire took a little bit of a run and got bigger. Fire 7 was about 60 kilometers from town, very close to Pine Lake as well. So crews were deployed to fight all the fires around Pine Lake and other places in the park because there was some hot spot coming here and there. In Wood Buffalo, we have about 4 crews of 4 firefighters that will be deployed. And of course, because there was many fires, other crews from Parks Canada around the country came to help the people and the firefighters in Wood Buffalo. Like I mentioned, animals here in Wood Buffalo are used to fires. So they built adaptation over time to be able to maneuver and go into places where they will be safe. Bears have really good sense of smell, so they can smell change in the environment. They can smell smoke. Therefore, they can move in certain area of the park where they know there's no currently any fires, and because they know their territory very well, they can move around easily with their cubs, or they go in places where there's more wetland. Here in Wood Buffalo, we have colonies of bats as well. So we are in karst topography, so many caves, cavern, crevasse, uh, sinkholes as well. So best places for the bats to go as well. So bats, we say they're nocturnal. So basically, they're gonna live more during the night. They're gonna go out. Usually, fires will be less intense in the evening, so bats could go. Also, bats have their adaptation that they could detect change in their environment. When they live in caves, often it's going to be cooler, so they can retreat further in the cave to escape from the fire and the flame. If not, they're going to move other places. We have seen over the summer many bats flying into Fort Smith here because there was no fire, so food source and protection. When we think about little mammal like rodent, little mouse, or little groundhog, we can think that they will burrow themselves way deep underground. So they're gonna create some labyrinth in there, and they're gonna go protect themselves deep, deep down in the ground. Some other animal like the ants or the spruce beetles have developed adaptation that will help them cope with the heat and get away from the flame as well. If we think about spruce beetle, they have what we call a heat resistant exoskeleton that would help them resist all the warmth and the heat. Of course, they're gonna dig through the ground to go hide, or they're gonna go try to go in the middle of the tree where there's more sap, and then they can survive. So they will dig some labyrinths, a little burrow inside either the ground or inside the trees to be able to survive the heat and the flame as well. Over the summer, many crews from other national parks came to help us. Even we had in July a team from New Zealand that came and helped fight fires. By the end of July, there was about 26 fires that were detected. Out of those fires, many were small little hotspots, many others were very, very huge fire. I paused my animation here at the beginning of August because August usually, traditionally, or usually by the time August comes around, that is when fire season is almost over. Usually June, July are busy time, August a little bit less. Summer 2023 was a little bit the opposite. A lot happened in August. Crews have been working on the incident on those fires for almost 60, 65 days at that point. And then dry season, no rain, and exhausted fire crews too. That's what happened at the beginning of August. Of course, dry season and no rain, that was prone for the entire summer, even beginning of May. So sometimes we wonder, well, Couple years back, we had about 3, 4 fires, nothing major. This year, 31 fires, over 900 hectare burn. What is going on? What is happening in our world? So we call it climate change. So maybe you wonder, well, Helen, what is climate change? I'm not too sure. So let me give you an example. So I will be planet Earth. So, and what's around me is our atmosphere, our environment. So, climate change is when there's gas emission. There's the earth is getting warmer. So it's like I'm putting a blanket on myself, you know, and then if I add another blanket and another blanket, I will get warmer and warmer. So gas emission, it's like blankets that we put on earth. So the earth is getting warmer and warmer. So that means drier season, even in the north where we are. And also it means no precipitation, very low rain. And even this winter, we had barely any snow. So planet Earth is getting very, very dry, which is prone for forest fire. Often lightning is happening, and that's what starts most of the fires here in Wood Buffalo National Park. And that's what happened at the beginning of May. May 27 was a day where there was a lot of lightning storm, and then a lot of fires started like that. So August is coming around, and then that's when some of the fire decided to go a little bit crazier or a little bit bigger because dry season we had no rain, and also we had no precipitation, and the wind started to blow very hard here in Fort Smith on August 12th. That's when we got the call, we need to evacuate. Fire 7, one of the biggest fire, is moving closer to town. We have only one highway that will go out, and people have to be safe because safety of civilians, safety of people has priority, and we needed to evacuate the town of Fort Smith so firefighters and first responders that stay in town could start to try to stop the fire that is coming closer to town and protect the town. So everybody got evacuated on August 12th. August 15, if you look on the map, you'll see what is happening. One of the fire is expanding at a fast rate. And that's when it got very, very close to Fort Smith. And that's when many crews, total 524 people, were working during the summer on the forest fire that are happening in Wood Buffalo. Of course, priority is the safety of all, safety of the fire crews, the first responders, safety of the civilian of Fort Smith, but also saving value at risk around the national park as well. So lookout, buildings, cabin as well. This fire has moved through a lot of kilometers over the past of couple months. And of course, some area in the park, like we're talking about the salt plain, the fire went through. So we lost some outhouse, we lost a lookout. So you will see on the screen what it looked like before the fire and what it looked like after the fire. Sometimes people say, well, Helen, fires are very bad. In some instance, they might be, but fire is a natural cause. It's a natural what the ecosystem needs. It needs some fire to regenerate. Some trees, like the jack pine, need very warm and need heat to open their seeds. So it needs a forest fire to spread new seeds on the ground and have new fire coming up. If you have an old forest with a very thick canopy and the sun cannot penetrate and make the vegetation down below grow, then you don't get new fresh grass, new plants for the animal to thrive on, to eat and feed. So you need a certain amount of forest fire to be able to release the new seeds, get new vegetation coming up as well. Of course, some area of the park get a little bit more burned than others. On some pictures, we see that there's still green patch. And then after that, you have different coloration. Depends if it's just a place where it got scorched, I mean, very low intensity fire, or if it's black, it's because it got very thick burn. It burned all the trees, burned the vegetation, and also burned the soil. What we have been noticing as well is that in some area, animal will come back, like bison. After 3-4 weeks, that's when the grass start to grow back in some scorched area, and that's when fresh plant will be coming out. We're thinking about fireweed that are the first plant, first flower that will come back after a forest fire. Very good for the bison. They like to graze on new grass and graze on fireweed as well. Some of my friends here, indigenous, say that usually when you look at a fireweed, it, it will start losing their petal at the bottom, and then when it comes to the top, the last petal will tell you this is the end of the fire season. Last summer was a little bit different, but usually we can judge by seeing how those fireweeds are doing, and we know when the fire season will be finishing. Of course, as the firefighters are still fighting fires and keeping everything under control and looking for each other, because at the end of August, that's when everybody is starting to be very tired. We see animal going back into the burn area. The new vegetation is growing. So Mother Nature has recycled herself. Mother Nature has very it's powerful and can have regeneration and regrowth. It's going to be very interesting to see this coming spring and this coming summer what those areas will look like. Over the winter, we have seen enforcement some animals that are still coming to town because they got pushed. Maybe their habitat got destroyed a little bit, or maybe they got just used for a couple months to come to town while we were for 5-6 weeks evacuated. So animals are going back in the park in those areas that have been burned. Bison in the fall, bears are finding a new den. If some animals have lost their habitat, they will find other places to go. We can talk about birds, maybe, that were nesting in some area. Of course, if the trees have burned, their nesting area is not there anymore. Therefore, they're going to go somewhere else around the park to find another nesting area. In the end of September, October, that's when the reclamation is. So basically, we want to replant some trees. We want the vegetation to grow back because animal, we can think about bees, insect, they need those regrow to be able to thrive and survive. Even for the bats, we want to know if the bat can find food to survive as well, because we have quite a bit of colony of bats all over the park as well. What we have learned over the summer is that it could change very fast. What we have learned is to look for each other and to look for animals that are roaming around. This coming fire season is coming very soon, and we know that everybody is ready for the fire season here. It's going to be very interesting to see the animal coming back and see what kind of regeneration the forest will do in the spring here. So this is a very short, quick introduction of what our summer looked like last summer. So I hope you enjoy the presentation. And Jessie, I'm going to be ready for you to go around for the round of questions.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Helen, for such a deep dive into what it looks like fire season in Wood Buffalo National Park. Before we dive in with questions with all our live classes and YouTubers, we are going to do our little Kahoot together. So test your understanding, have a little bit of fun. For those who are new to Kahoot, the faster you answer, the more points you get. And as you'll know, if you have done it with me before, what you win is Helen and I's everlasting respect. So that's worth quite a bit. Feel free to chime in, and if you don't want to play along online, that's fine. You can yell out the answers in your classrooms. However you want to take part is fantastic. There's our game pin up on the screen, kahoot.it, and we are going to dive in just a minute or so. A quick note too, while we're waiting for folks to pour in, do check out our full road trip list. A lot of you classes are in for the rest of our road trip, which is spectacular. If you haven't signed up, there's lots of really cool, amazing programs to come in the weeks to follow. So stay tuned for all those. All right, and we're going to get underway. Dive in with our Kahoot. You can still join in after we've gotten started. All right, Wildfire Smart. 3, 2, 1. I hope everyone gets the first question right, but we're going to sort of highlight some fun facts about it in a minute. The largest national park in Canada. Where were we today? We've got some classes that are like right in the zone, right near where you are right now, which is very exciting on YouTube. So I hope everyone gets this. Banff, Rosemorne, Kootenay, Wood Buffalo. What are we talking about today? Yes, Wood Buffalo. So Ellen and I were talking about this before. Wood Buffalo National Park is bigger than Belgium. It's bigger than the Netherlands. It's bigger than Denmark. It's about the same size as Switzerland, which is ridiculous. There are like 30, 40 countries in the world smaller than Wood Buffalo National Park. It is truly titanic. So very good. Most people got that right. Caring Bunny takes our lead. Going into question 2. Here we go. How many fires were detected in the park during last summer? Is it 1, 0, 31, or 187? All the fires. Hopefully, maybe not that many ever. That would be unfortunate. But we all know this. We all watched the news last year, or parents told us about the news. There were a lot of fires in Canada. We did mention this number in the broadcast. How many specifically were in Wood Buffalo? Let's see. Yes, most of you got this right. It is 31. 187 is too many. We're thankful we don't have to deal with that quite yet. 31 is our right answer. How does this do for our leaderboard? Dynamic Raccoon takes our lead. If you are any of these people, let us know who you are in the chat. Which adaptation does not belong to the black bear? What do black bears not have? Do they have strong curved claws, incredible sense of smell, a heat-resistant exoskeleton, or omnivory? They can eat everything. Allows them to come and sort of utilize any food source. I will say with most of the answers in, if they did have this, they'd be terrifying. I'm really glad they don't have a heat-resistant exoskeleton, because that would be horrible. That is not, that's like something out of a sci-fi horror movie. All right, Caring Bunny retakes the lead. Going to our final question. All right, here we go. And then Miss Lou's class, we're coming to you first in our Q&A. Live classes, we're coming to you all. What's the first flower that grows after a forest fire? Is it fireweed, dragon's breath, tulips, or flame daisies? I've got some tulips popping up, and I know our Ontario classes have tons of tulips now because it's like 20 degrees there. It is fireweed. It's a beautiful plant. We saw it a few times in that presentation. Way to go, everybody. Let's see what that does to our leaderboard and our podium finishers. And then Miss Lou, we're coming to you first. Maple Grove, you're second. YouTubers, get those questions in. We're coming to everybody, we promise. Eager New is second. And then first for all the marbles. Bum, 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 bum. Caring Bunny almost takes it wire to wire. Way to go, guys. If you are a Caring Bunny, but we got Miss Mustard's class and losing their mind. It might be them. We'll have to check in a minute. Miss Lou's group, grade 4s, come on in and take us away with your first question. Hi, guys. Hello, Miss Lou.
Did any of the fires collide together?
Ooh, yeah.
This is a very good question. So some fires will be moving around, and it happened that 2 fires was joined and become one big fire. Yes, it has happened. Has happened last summer, and it has happened many other time during the past few years. So yes, sometimes they might be small fires and they're close to each other because of a thunderstorm, and then you get lightning happening and then just hotspot created. But sometimes 2 big fires might be moving depending on the wind, which way the wind is blowing one morning, one afternoon, one day, and then they can collide and become one big. So for example, if we had fire 12 and fire 13, they're moving, then they will create another fire that we may call now fire 23 or something like that. Yes.
Fascinating question. Great job, guys. We're going to head to our Maple Grove crew. Ms. Dixon's class. Come on in, unmute your mic, and you're golden for a question. Hi, guys.
How many buffaloes died in the fire?
Great question.
This is a very good question. So we know in Wood Buffalo National Park that we have about 2,500, 3,000 bison. Most of the bison will be in the south of the park. As far as we know, we have colored bison, so we can see through the satellite where they are moving. As far as we know, we do not have any bison that died in the fire because bison are very well adapted to fire season and the fire. So their sense of smell is very acute, very developed. So they can smell changes in the environment that will trigger something in their brain saying, ooh, something is happening. We should be moving. And even before the fire gets close to them, they're going to be already gone away. And because they move quite fast, they're very agile for a big, big animal. They know their territory and they know where there will be water source, where a wetland is. So they will retreat to that place. So they will move to those areas knowing that the chances for very extreme fire activity, those are the main places. And they know that they will have water to drink and protection. So bison will be moving away even before the fire gets close to them.
That's good to hear, Helen. That's nice
Yes.
to know. Great question, guys. Miss Mustard Class, Tribune Drive Public School, come on in and take us away. Hey.
Okay. If during a wildfire, how do birds lay eggs or survive with their children?
Like save them.
This is a beautiful question. Thank you. So depending when the fire happened, often if it's like just before they lay egg, then if the birds have time to be moving somewhere else away from the fire, they may rebuild a nest. It doesn't take them a really long time to build a nest, and they will have their eggs in that new location, new habitat. If they already have their nest, they lay their eggs, depending on the fire behavior. So if it's a fire that is more like a ground fire that will not go crowning, we call, all the way to the top of the tree, those nests might be safe and the baby can be born and then they will fly away. In some circumstances, sometimes, like we saw in the video, the fires are going all the way to the top of the trees. And then if there is nest with eggs, or if the chicks are not old enough to fly, they may perish. So they may not survive. Wood buffalo is very, very big. So it's hard to know how many are flying away and how many are not, because there's so many birds of all kind. But depending what kind of fire are close to their area, hopefully they can fly away in a new habitat and survive.
Well, and again, this speaks to the importance of trying to combat these fires. It speaks to the importance of trying to mitigate climate change, like all these things. Animals are sometimes casualties in these big events, as are people, as are communities. And we've seen this in the last years, especially in Canada. And so again, it underscores the sort of main underlying message of what we're trying to talk about here today. So I'm really glad we got that question. Thanks, guys. Mm-hmm. We're going to take two more from our live classes, and then we'll take a few from YouTube before we do a second round. Miss Coburn, our Dalewood School crew, if you guys want to unmute your mic and come on in, you can take us away. Hey.
Hi. Thank you very much. What a great presentation. Your visuals were amazing.
Thank you.
So I have a remote class here. They're at home, and this is an amazing experience because you've taken the learning outside of the classroom. We really thank you for that. We have two very quick questions. I'm not sure the answers are quick, but one is Khadija from Dalewood wants to know what is the greatest cause still today of forest fires, and if we can't help the habitats, have we today already had to create artificial habitats to save wildlife?
Those are amazing questions. Thank you very much. So the first one, most of the fires that we are detected are caused by lightning. So a thunderstorm will strike, especially when it's very dry season. It doesn't take a lot for fires or a hotspot to ignite. So thunderstorm, that is 98% of the time. It may happen. It did not happen last summer and either for the past few years, but it may happen sometimes. Careless campers that forget to put their fire. If they go camping, they have their fire and then they forget to extinguish it properly. And then there's some winds and maybe the ashes or the flames are going over the place. But this is very rare. Lightning is often the cause of the fires. And I forgot to mention that in the presentation, this year was the first time ever that a fire ban was happening inside the Wood Buffalo National Park. So we never ever had a fire ban before, like where you cannot go and cook marshmallows or s'mores or hot dogs on the fire. This was the first time, and the park has been established since 1922. So that tells you how extreme last summer was. The next question, here in Wood Buffalo, because the park is so large, like Jesse mentioned, we do not have to recreate habitats. Depending where you are across the country, sometimes the habitat might be smaller, or the park or the area where the animal will go. If it's surrounded by cities, if it's surrounded by a lot of urban area, maybe those animals have no place to go and they will go into the cities, and that becomes a little bit of a problem. So maybe in some area like that, they may have to create artificial habitat, or they will have to plant many trees. They will have to plant many flowers, so the bees are coming back, the insects are coming back. And depending which animal we're talking about, if it's beavers, if it's bears, wolf, grizzly bears, or which animal we're talking about, there might be relocation of those animals, might be another option where they will take them somewhere else in an habitat that is like natural, and that will help them thrive, and they will find their new territory over there.
Yep.
I hope that
That was a
answered.
very detailed answer, Helen. Thank you very much for that. That's a challenging one. Ms. Coburn, great question. We're going to head to our Raymond crew. Welcome in Alberta, guys. If you want to unmute your mic, grade sixes, we'll come to you, and then we'll take a few from our YouTube friends before our second round. Hey, welcome back.
What can we do to prevent forest fires?
Yes, the main question. Great.
Yay! Well, it all happens to be, if you go camping, if you can take care of extinguishing your fire, then that will help as well. Of course, we talk a lot about climate change. What we can do is sometimes minimize the use of the car, so we get less gas emissions. So take your bike, walk, your skateboard, your rollerblade, or if you have a lot of people traveling, use the transit transportation. So the bus or any subway maybe. So by having less car moving everywhere, then it helps with the gas emission. Also, you can go and plant some trees. Trees are good to filtrate the CO2 into oxygen. Like here in Wood Buffalo, there will be a lot of trees that will need to go and get planted in area where it got burned a lot. But you can do that. Plant some flowers for the animal, for the insect. Plant some trees around certain areas so they can filtrate the CO2. So those are simple things you can do, and that will help. So if you do it, I do it, every people, like 1,300 people do it, then it will help. And sometimes we say, well, if I do it, I'm by myself, it's not going to make a big change. But it does, because somebody else just like you is thinking the same. So if we all do it, it will make a big change.
I've got to stick around for like 6 more minutes to finish the broadcast with you, but when I'm done, I'm going to go do some of those things. It's amazing. Ellen, let's take some from YouTube, and then we'll try and get a second round. We've got our sort of rapid fire here. Matoush and Miss Roberts' class want to know, do you think this year will be worse for fires? What do we think about 2024?
It's hard to tell. We have learned a lot from last year. There is a lot of improvement we can do. It's hard to say, but we are ready. Some of the crews are coming back. People are getting ready. There was major plans that were done over the winter in case. But we have to know that we didn't get a lot of snow this winter. So the ground is still dry. It's not wet. And some area where the fire went deep down in the soil, there might still be what we call moldering. There might still be a little bit of like fire in the deep ground. Depends how deep the fire went. It went through all the roots of the trees. So it's hard to say if it's going to be worse. I hope not. But everybody is ready in case, and we cross our fingers that it is not.
one of the things you mentioned is a sort of casual throwaway line, which I like, was that New Zealanders came and helped you fight the fires. And this is true of firefighters worldwide. Canadians go to other countries come to here. Basically, firefighters travel around the globe now to help sort of stop these things in their tracks. So we are as prepared as we can possibly be. We've got international help if we need it, which is a really good thing. So thank you for that, Ellen. We're going to head to Miss Lou's class in a minute to begin the second round. I just want to head to Miss Melrose's class first. They're joining us fantastically at the Athabasca Delta Community School right in the heart of Wood Buffalo National Park. So a big hello to them. And if you guys want to go meet Ellen and talk about this in person, you can go anytime and go say hi. They've got a bunch of questions. Oh, there's so many ones here. We've covered quite a few of them. I want to just see, let's see. The biggest fire. What was the biggest fire that you had last year? This is from Mackenzie.
Yes, so the biggest fire of last summer was fire 7, who was about at the end. I don't want to get my answer wrong. I have a couple notes. I believe it was over 500,000 hectares, give or take. 500,000 hectares was the biggest fire and the one that traveled. And that's fire 7 is the one that why we got evacuated, because it was moving. The condition were extreme and the fire become extreme, and it was like better for us to just leave and be safe.
I put this in the YouTube channel already, but I want to note for anyone who's really keen on fires, or not keen on fires, but teachers, adults, older students, Fire Weather by John Viand is a really spectacular book that came out last year that won all sorts of awards, talking about specifically Alberta and the fire season and sort of the context around that. So I really encourage you to check that out, and I'll make sure you all have that in the chat too. All right, Ellen, we're going to try and get in 5 more questions if we can with all our live classes before we go in the next few minutes. So Miss Lou, come on in. Hey.
Hi. I was gonna say, how do blind animals survive the wildfire?
I'll do blind animals. This is a very good question. Thank you. Like animal will use, sometimes if they cannot see, they will use all their other senses. So they could smell, and certain animal have very good hearing. So they will hear for kilometers and kilometers, way better than us. And they will hear something is happening, and often they're going to use their smell. And certain animal will live in a herd, will live in a colony, will live in a group. So each other will look like we do when we travel in a group. We kind of look for each other. So other animal will help those animals that maybe are blind, they cannot see, to direct them towards safe zone. So like I said, they have really good smell, so they will smell something different is happening, and therefore they're gonna flee. They're gonna leave the area before even it gets very dangerous.
Great question, guys. We've got a lot of questions along these lines about very specific animals. It is going to be a similar answer if that was your question coming up, just so you know in advance, but I'm appreciating that we're getting them all. We're going to head to Maple Grove next. If you guys want to flick on your mic and camera. While you're waiting to do that, actually, I might head to Miss Mustard's class. If you guys want to come in, and then Maple Grove, we can come to you right after. That would be great. Hi, 4-5s.
When the fire starts, how does it fast or slow?
Oh, could you repeat that for us? You cut out just a little bit.
Yes.
When the fire starts, does it spread fast or slow?
Oh, great question.
This is a very good question. So it starts by the lightning strike, and then we call it an ignition. That's when the fire will start. It will always depend on the weather condition. Is it very dry? Is the ground has a lot of moisture? Is it that the area, maybe some of the trees are already wet because maybe we had a lot of rain, and then everything is wet, so the fire will not spread as much. But also it will depend what kind of vegetation. Is it more like leafy trees, or if it's more like coniferous, like spruce and pine, which are very flammable. So those one will flame or will get on fire, will burn faster than leafy trees. Often they have more sap inside, so the process will be not as high. So it depends. Is it 35 degrees outside, or it's only 15 degrees? What about the wind? Is it very windy where it's gonna help the fire to grow, or there is no wind? So depends of the condition, but it could go fast or it could do absolutely nothing and just stay there in a small amount.
We've actually covered some of this in some of our past Parks Canada programs too. So if you want to check out Wildfire, head to our YouTube channel. There's lots on fire that we've done. It's been a really exciting sort of mini series to du jour. So I really encourage you to check that out if you're interested, guys. We got a couple classes that have had to go, so we're going to wrap up with our Raymond Elementary crew. And I'll just note again, check out our road trip page. Check us out on YouTube. If you want to submit to a really easy contest for a chance to win some really cool prizes, CanGeo Education's Cross Canada Virtual Road Trip page is awesome. I'm going to make sure all of our classes have this when we're done. But our Raymond crew, come on in. Hey.
Where can we legally plant trees?
Ooh, interesting question.
Ooh, this is a good question. So you can plant trees around your yard if you want, as long as you have space and not too close to your house. But there's some area where maybe there's a big park or maybe closer to another forest. Sometimes some cities will develop areas that you look and it looks like a bunch of grass or like only dirt, and those are the areas you can plant trees. You make sure you don't plant invasive species, so it has to be natural plant as well that belong to that certain area. You can always go to your town hall and ask, hey, I want to do something for the nature. I want to plant trees. Is there some area around my city that I could go and plant trees? Because there is program that exists where they will provide you the trees and then you go and plant them. So ask your town, ask your city. Maybe they have a plant. They should have a plant where more plantation are possible.
I love that you're thinking that way, though, Raymond. So please do check it out. There's lots of resources, like Ellen mentioned, to find out things like that. It shouldn't be too hard. And increasingly across Canada, there are tons of tree planting programs. So great opportunity to help combat climate change and more. Guys, I wish we could go all day. We've got way more questions already than we could possibly answer, but check out our website. Email us if you have any more questions. We'll get them to Ellen. And what we're going to do to wrap up is bring in all our classes, as we always do, to say a big thank you and farewell. So Miss Lou's class, Miss Mustard's class, Miss Coburn's group, grade 6 Raymond,